The chamber of celestial accord was silent, a silence thick with the weight of millennia, a silence broken only by the low hum of the containment fields surrounding the oraculum, the source of all knowledge, all prophecy for the Krill Imperium. Grand Admiral Xyler shifted on his multifaceted throne, his chitinous shell gleaming under the violet glow of the artificial sun that served as the chamber's heart. He dared not speak, dared not break the stillness that clung to the air like a shroud. Before him, projected in shimmering holographic form, were the faces, or rather, the sensory clusters and vocal appendages of the Krill High Council. Each representative, a being of immense power and ancient lineage, radiated an aura of unease, a subtle tremor in the psychic web that connected them all. The source of their collective disquiet hung unspoken, a shadow looming over the Krill's meticulously ordered universe. Finally, the silence shattered. The Grand Strategist, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with restrained energy, addressed the assembly. The sensor readings are consistent. They remain contained, their expansion halted, but their presence, it defies all known parameters of galactic evolution. Her voice, a complex series of clicks and whistles translated into comprehensible thought speech, carried a tremor of what Xyler could only interpret as fear, a sensation wholly alien to the Krill. Another council member, the High Arbiter, interjected, her crystalline eyes flashing with impatience. Contained? Yes, but for how long? The projections indicate exponential growth in their technological capacity. Their ingenuity is unnerving. They evolve at a rate that should be impossible. Explain to me, Grand Strategist, how a species barely capable of interstellar travel less than a cycle ago now possesses the capacity to disrupt subspace communication across an entire sector. The Grand Strategist hesitated, her tendrils twitching. The initial assessment, it was flawed. We underestimated them. Their resilience, their adaptability, it is unlike anything we have encountered. And their psychological profile, it is baffling. Their capacity for both profound destruction and selfless compassion, it presents a paradox we cannot resolve. Xyler, despite his position, felt a shiver crawl down his carapace. The Krill Imperium had encountered countless species across the vast expanse of the cosmos. They had waged wars against empires of unimaginable power, negotiated treaties with civilizations whose understanding of reality was beyond comprehension. But never, not once, had they felt this uncertainty, this primal fear. The Grand Arbiter turned her gaze, a cold, unwavering stare, toward Xyler. Admiral, you command the blockade. You are responsible for ensuring their quarantine. Report. Xyler drew a deep breath, steeling his nerves. The blockade is holding. We maintain a constant vigilance, a network of interdiction fields and sentinel ships. They have attempted to breach the perimeter on several occasions, but each attempt has been contained. However, he paused, choosing his words carefully. Their methods, they are evolving, they are learning, adapting. They are pushing the boundaries of our technology. I believe they are attempting to circumvent the blockade to find alternate routes. Alternate routes? The High Progenitor, the oldest and most revered member of the Council, spoke for the first time, her voice a low, resonant hum that echoed through the chamber. Explain. We theorize they are attempting to manipulate space-time itself, Xyler said, his voice barely above a whisper. To fold space, to create wormholes, unstable, unpredictable, but potentially viable. A collective gasp filled the chamber. Manipulation of space-time was a science the Krill had mastered millennia ago, a technology so complex, so dangerous, that it was reserved only for the most critical of strategic imperatives. The thought that this nascent species, these asterisk humans, could even contemplate such a feat was terrifying. Impossible, the Grand Strategist hissed. They lack the resources, the knowledge, the understanding asterisk. Perhaps, Xyler countered, but their desperation, it fuels their innovation. They are resourceful. They are driven by a primal instinct to survive, to expand. They are relentless. The High Progenitor considered this, her ancient eyes, clouded with the wisdom of countless eons, fixed on Xyler. What is your recommendation, Admiral? What must we do to ensure the continued security of the Imperium? Xyler hesitated. He knew what he had to say. He knew the weight of the words he was about to utter. But the alternative, it was unthinkable. We must strengthen the blockade, he said, his voice resonating with grim determination. We must dedicate more resources, more ships, more personnel. We must reinforce the interdiction fields, enhance our surveillance systems, and we must be prepared to use force. Lethal force, if necessary. We must demonstrate our resolve. We must make it clear that their expansion will not be tolerated. Silence descended once more, heavier than before. The members of the High Council considered Xyler's words, their minds racing, weighing the risks, the consequences. The fate of the Imperium hung in the balance. The Grand Arbiter spoke first. And if that is not enough, if they continue to resist, if they find a way to circumvent the blockade, Xyler met her gaze, his own eyes hardening. Then we must consider more drastic measures, measures that we would normally deem unacceptable. But the alternative is far worse. He did not elaborate. He did not need to. Everyone in the chamber of celestial accord knew what he meant. The complete and utter annihilation of the human race. A measure of last resort, a final, desperate act to ensure the survival of the Krill Imperium. A decision that would haunt them for eternity. But a decision that perhaps was unavoidable. The Krill had blockaded the Sol system decades ago, not out of malice, but out of a cold, calculated assessment of risk. Humanity, with its chaotic energy, its boundless ambition, its unpredictable nature, was deemed a threat to the delicate balance of the galaxy. They were quarantined, confined to their star system, prevented from spreading their influence, their chaos, across the stars. It was a difficult decision, a morally ambiguous one, but the Krill believed it was necessary. They believed they were acting in the best interests of the galaxy. They believed they were protecting themselves and everyone else from the storm that was brewing on that small, blue planet. They had blocked Earth from the stars, hoping to contain the unpredictable spark within, unaware of the inferno they were inadvertently stoking. The atmosphere in the Oval Office was as thick as pea soup. President Ellis stared out the window, watching the rain lash against the glass, mirroring the storm brewing inside the room. Around him, the Joint Chiefs of Staff sat grim-faced, their expressions reflecting the gravity of the situation. General Petrov, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, cleared his throat. Mr. President, we've confirmed the Krill buildup. They're reinforcing the blockade. Sensor readings indicate a significant increase in firepower. They're not playing games anymore. Ellis sighed, rubbing his temples. I know, General, I know. The intel is clear. They're tightening the noose. The Krill blockade had been a constant presence in human history for decades. A silent, looming threat that had shaped their society, their technology, their very destiny. It had forced them to innovate, to push the boundaries of science, to develop technologies that would have been unthinkable just a few generations ago. But it had also stifled them, confined them, prevented them from reaching their full potential. They were prisoners in their own solar system, forever looking up at the stars, yearning for freedom. The public is getting restless, Mr. President, Secretary of Defense Reynolds said, his voice laced with concern. They want answers, they want action, they're tired of living under the shadow of the Krill. I know, Tom, Ellis said wearily. I know, but what can we do? We're outgunned, manned, outmatched. We can't fight them head-on. We'd be annihilated. We're not defenseless, Mr. President, General Petrov said, his voice firm. We've made significant advancements in our defensive capabilities. Project Thor is operational. We've developed cloaking technology that can render our ships invisible to their sensors, and we've made breakthroughs in energy weapons that can rival their firepower. Ellis looked at the general, a flicker of hope in his eyes. And what about Project ZEUS, General? Is it ready? Petrov hesitated. It's operational, Mr. President, but it's untested. It's a gamble, a big one. Project ZEUS. The culmination of decades of research, a desperate attempt to break the Krill blockade to open a path to the stars. It was a weapon of unimaginable power, a technology so advanced that it bordered on the theoretical. It was humanity's last hope. What are the risks, General? Ellis asked, his voice hardening. The risks are significant, Mr. President, Petrov said, his voice grave. Project ZEUS involves manipulating spacetime on a scale that has never been attempted before. It could destabilize the solar system. It could create a chain reaction that could destroy Earth, or worse. It could open a gateway to something we don't understand, something we can't control. Ellis closed his eyes, weighing the options. The risks were immense, but the alternative was unacceptable. To remain confined, to wither and die under the shadow of the Krill was not an option. Humanity deserved a chance. They deserved to reach for the stars. Prepare Project ZEUS for activation, Ellis said, his voice resolute. We're going to break this blockade. We're going to show the Krill what humanity is capable of. We're going to remind them that we are not to be underestimated. The chamber was plunged into darkness. The only light came from the holographic projections swirling around the central dais. Xyler stood rigid, his multifaceted eyes fixed on the readings. The human ships were massing near the edge of the Sol system. Their numbers were alarming. They are preparing to attack, the grand strategist announced, her voice strained. Their energy signatures are off the charts. They are attempting something unprecedented. Hold the line, Xyler commanded, his voice resonating through the chamber. Maintain the blockade. Do not allow them to breach the perimeter. We must show them the futility of their actions. But even as he spoke, a sense of unease gnawed at him. The human ships, they were not behaving as expected. They were not engaging in conventional combat maneuvers. They were focusing their energy on a single point in spacetime, a point near the edge of the solar system, a point that was unstable. "Admiral," a voice screamed from the sensorium. "They are attempting to create a wormhole. Their energy readings are spiking. It's off the charts." Zyler's blood ran cold. A wormhole. It was impossible. They lacked the technology, the resources, the understanding. And yet, the readings did not lie. The humans were attempting the impossible. "Initiate countermeasures," Zyler ordered, his voice tight with desperation. "Activate the interdiction fields, disrupt their energy flow, prevent them from opening the wormhole." But it was too late. The human energy surged, coalescing into a single blinding point of light. Space-time buckled, twisted, and tore. A swirling vortex of energy erupted, a gateway to somewhere else. And through that gateway they came. Not a few ships, not a scouting party, but a fleet of unprecedented size. A fleet bristling with weapons, shielded with energy fields, and driven by a relentless, unwavering determination. They surged through the wormhole, pouring into the Sol system like a tidal wave. The Krill blockade shattered. Their ships were overwhelmed, their defenses breached. The human fleet swept through the system, a force of nature unleashed. The war had begun. Project ZEUS was more than a weapon. It was a gamble on the very fabric of reality. Dr. Aris Thorne, the lead scientist behind the project, stood in the control room, his eyes glued to the monitors, his hands trembling slightly. He knew the risks. He understood the potential consequences. But he also knew that humanity's survival depended on it. "Wormhole stable," a technician announced, his voice tight. WITH Chinese letter. "Human fleet is deploying." Thorne took a deep breath, steeling his nerves. "Activate the secondary protocols, begin the energy surge." The control room hummed with power. Energy flowed through the system, building to a crescendo. The monitors flickered, displaying complex equations, schematics, and simulations. Thorne watched, his heart pounding in his chest, as the impossible became reality. "Energy levels at critical," another technician announced. "Preparing for temporal jump." Temporal jump. The final, desperate gamble. Not only were they opening a wormhole, but they were also attempting to manipulate time itself, to jump their fleet forward, to arrive at their destination before the Krill could react. It was a technology that defied all known laws of physics, a technology that could either save humanity or destroy it. "Initiate the jump," Thorne ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The room exploded with light. The monitors went blank. Thorne felt a sensation of vertigo, a feeling of being ripped apart and put back together again. Then silence. The monitors flickered back to life. They displayed images of empty space. No Krill ships, no human ships, nothing but the vast, empty void of the cosmos. "Report," Thorne demanded, his voice hoarse. "What happened?" We don't know, Doctor," a technician stammered. "The fleet, they're gone, vanished, as if they never existed." Thorne stared at the monitors, his mind reeling. Had the jump failed? Had the fleet been destroyed? Or had they succeeded? Had they jumped to their destination, leaving the Krill behind? Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the monitors, a signal that was unlike anything they had ever seen before, a signal that was ancient, a signal that was powerful, a signal that was calling out to them. "What is it?" Thorne asked, his voice trembling. We don't know, Doctor," the technician said, his voice filled with awe. It's a message from beyond." The message pulsed with energy, with intelligence, with something that resonated deep within Thorne's soul. He felt a connection to it, a sense of understanding, a feeling of recognition. "Decode it," Thorne ordered, his voice filled with urgency. "Decode the message. I need to know what it says." The technicians worked feverishly, their fingers flying across the keyboards. The message was complex, encrypted, and unlike anything they had ever encountered. But they persevered, driven by a sense of urgency, a feeling that the fate of humanity depended on it. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the message was decoded. The words appeared on the monitors, glowing with an eerie light. Thorne stared at them, his heart pounding in his chest. "They blocked Earth from the stars," he read aloud, his voice filled with awe. "So we brought ZEUS online." The next lines chilled him to the bone. "We are not the first, we will not be the last, beware the keepers." The chamber of celestial accord was in chaos. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and the air crackled with tension. Zyler stood amidst the pandemonium, his multifaceted eyes fixed on the holographic projections. The human fleet, it had vanished, gone as if it had never existed. "Where are they?" he roared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "What happened to them?" We don't know, Admiral," the grand strategist stammered. They simply disappeared. Their energy signatures vanished. It's as if they were erased from space-time." "Impossible," Zyler hissed. "They cannot simply vanish. They must be somewhere. Find them. I want every sensor, every probe, every ship in the Imperium searching for them. Leave no stone unturned." But even as he spoke, a sense of dread washed over him. The humans, they had done something impossible, something that defied all known laws of physics. They had outmaneuvered them, outwitted them, and left them completely in the dark. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the monitors. a signal that was unlike anything they had ever seen before, a signal that was ancient, a signal that was powerful, a signal that was calling out to them. "What is it?" Zyler demanded, his voice trembling. We don't know, Admiral," a technician said, his voice filled with awe. It's a message from beyond." The message pulsed with energy, with intelligence, with something that resonated deep within Zyler's soul. He felt a connection to it, a sense of understanding, a feeling of recognition. "Decode it," Zyler ordered, his voice filled with urgency. "Decode the message. I need to know what it says." The technicians worked feverishly, their fingers flying across the keyboards. The message was complex, encrypted, and unlike anything they had ever encountered. But they persevered, driven by a sense of urgency, a feeling that the fate of the Krill Imperium depended on it. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the message was decoded. The words appeared on the monitors, glowing with an eerie light. Zyler stared at them, his heart pounding in his chest. "They blocked Earth from the stars," he read aloud, his voice filled with dread. "So we brought ZEUS online. We are not the first. We will not be the last. Beware the keepers." The implications of the message were staggering. The humans were not the first to attempt such a feat. They were following in the footsteps of others, of a civilization long gone, a civilization that had also defied the Keepers. And the Keepers, who were they? What were they, and why should they be feared? Zyler turned to the Grand Strategist, his eyes filled with a chilling realization. The blockade, it wasn't about containing the humans. It was about containing something else, something far more dangerous. The Grand Strategist stared at him, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with fear. "The Keepers, they are real." "They are real," Zyler said, his voice grim. "And the humans, they have awakened them." The Krill had always believed that they were the guardians of the galaxy, the protectors of order, the champions of civilization. They had imposed their will on countless species, always acting in what they believed to be the best interests of the galaxy. But now they realized that they were nothing more than pawns in a game they did not understand. A game that was far older, far more complex, and far more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. The humans, in their desperate attempt to break free from the blockade, had unleashed something that could destroy them all. Ellis stood in the Situation Room, his face etched with worry. The message from beyond it had changed everything. The victory over the Krill felt hollow, insignificant in the face of the looming threat. "We've established contact with the fleet," General Petrov announced, his voice grave. "They successfully jumped to the designated coordinates. They're preparing to rendezvous with the artifact." "The artifact?" Ellis asked, his brow furrowed. "The message, it contained coordinates, Mr. President," Petrov explained. "Coordinates that lead to a point in deep space far beyond the reach of the Krill. Our fleet is heading there now. They believe they will find something that can help us against the Keepers." Ellis nodded, his mind racing. The Keepers. The ancient threat that had haunted the galaxy for eons. The beings that had destroyed countless civilizations, leaving only whispers of their existence in the ruins of forgotten worlds. The beings that the Krill had been trying to contain. "What do we know about the Keepers?" Ellis asked. "Very little, Mr. President," Petrov said. "Legends, myths, rumors, stories passed down through generations. They are said to be beings of immense power, capable of manipulating reality itself. They are said to be the guardians of a cosmic order, an order that they will defend at all costs." "And what is this artifact?" Ellis asked. "What do they hope to find?" "We don't know, Mr. President," Petrov said. "The message was vague. It only referred to it as the key to unlocking the secrets of the Keepers, the key to defeating them." Ellis closed his eyes, his mind filled with a sense of foreboding. The situation was dire. They were facing an enemy they did not understand, an enemy that was far more powerful than anything they had ever encountered. And their only hope lay in a mysterious artifact, hidden in the depths of space. "Prepare for the worst, General," Ellis said, his voice resolute. "We're going to need all the help we can get." The human fleet approached the designated coordinates, their sensors straining to penetrate the darkness. They had traveled for weeks, pushing their ships to their limits, driven by a sense of urgency, a feeling that the fate of humanity depended on it. Finally, they arrived. Before them, in the vast emptiness of space, was a structure of unimaginable size and complexity, a structure that defied all known laws of physics, a structure that was alien. "What is it?" Admiral Ramirez, the commander of the fleet, asked, his voice filled with awe. "We don't know, Admiral," a sensor officer replied. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. It's massive, it's complex, it's alive." The structure pulsed with energy, with intelligence, with something that resonated deep within Ramirez's soul. He felt a connection to it, a sense of understanding, a feeling of recognition. "Approach with caution," Ramirez ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Maintain full alert. We don't know what we're dealing with." The fleet approached the structure slowly, their weapons primed, their shields raised. As they drew closer, they began to discern details. The structure was composed of countless interlocking pieces, each one intricately designed, each one pulsing with energy. It was a machine, a city, a living organism, all rolled into one. Suddenly, a beam of light erupted from the structure, bathing the fleet in its warm glow. A voice echoed through the ships, a voice that was both ancient and powerful, a voice that spoke directly to their minds. "Welcome," the voice said. "You have answered the call. You have proven yourselves worthy. You are the inheritors of the legacy." Ramirez stared at the structure, his mind reeling. Who were these beings? What was this legacy? And what did they want from them? "Who are you?" Ramirez asked, his voice trembling. "What is this place?" "We are the architects," the voice replied. "We are the creators of this universe, and this is the Citadel, the heart of our creation, the key to defeating the Keepers." The Citadel, the artifact that the message had spoken of. The key to unlocking the secrets of the Keepers, the key to defeating them. "And what do you want from us?" Ramirez asked. "We want your help," the voice replied. "The Keepers are returning, they are coming to reclaim what is rightfully theirs, and we need your help to stop them." The Krill ships arrived, their sensors registering the anomaly in deep space. Xyler stood on the bridge of his flagship, his multifaceted eyes fixed on the readings. The human fleet, they were there, and they were with something else. "What is it?" Xyler demanded, his voice filled with dread. "What are they doing?" "We don't know, Admiral," the Grand Strategist replied. It's a structure of immense size and complexity. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. It's emitting a powerful energy signature." Xyler felt a shiver crawl down his carapace. He knew what this meant. The humans had found something ancient, something powerful, something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. "Prepare to engage," Xyler ordered, his voice grim. "We must prevent them from accessing that structure. We must secure it for the Imperium." The Krill fleet advanced, their weapons primed, their shields raised. They were prepared to fight, to die, to do whatever it took to prevent the humans from gaining an advantage. But as they approached the structure, they were met with resistance, not from the humans, but from something else. Beams of light erupted from the structure, tearing through the Krill ships, obliterating them in an instant. Energy fields shimmered, deflecting their weapons' fire, rendering them useless. "What is happening?" Xyler roared, his voice filled with desperation. "What is this power?" "We don't know, Admiral," the Grand Strategist replied. It's beyond our comprehension, the structure, it's defending itself. It's attacking us with unimaginable force." Xyler stared at the structure, his mind reeling. The Keepers were real, the architects were real, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The humans, in their desperate attempt to break free from the blockade, had stumbled upon something far greater, far more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. They had awakened the ancient powers of the universe, and now they were caught in the middle of a cosmic war. A war that could determine the future of existence itself. The architects offered humanity a choice: join them in the fight against the Keepers or be consumed by the darkness that was coming. It was a choice that no one wanted to make, but it was a choice that had to be made. Ellis, after consulting with his advisors, with the leaders of other nations, with the people of Earth, made his decision. "We will stand with you," Ellis said, his voice resolute. "We will fight against the Keepers. We will defend this galaxy. We will protect our future." The architects welcomed humanity into their ranks. They shared their knowledge, their technology, their wisdom. They taught them how to harness the power of the Citadel, how to manipulate spacetime, how to defend themselves against the Keepers. The Krill, realizing the gravity of the situation, also offered their allegiance. They had been wrong about the humans. They had underestimated them. They had been blinded by their own arrogance. Now they were ready to atone for their mistakes. The humans and the Krill, once enemies, now allies, joined forces to fight against the Keepers. They stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder, united in their determination to protect the galaxy. The Keepers arrived, their forces vast, their power immense. They came to reclaim what was rightfully theirs, to restore the cosmic order, to extinguish the spark of rebellion. The battle was epic, a clash of titans, a war that spanned across galaxies. The humans and the Krill, armed with the knowledge and technology of the architects, fought bravely, fiercely, relentlessly. They pushed the Keepers back, they defended the Citadel, they protected the galaxy. In the end, after countless battles, after countless sacrifices, after countless losses, they prevailed. The Keepers were defeated. The cosmic order was restored, and the galaxy was saved, but the victory came at a cost. Countless lives were lost, countless worlds were destroyed, and the universe was forever changed. The humans and the Krill, forever bound by their shared struggle, emerged from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. They had faced the darkness, they had conquered their fears, and they had proven that even the smallest spark of hope can ignite a flame that can illuminate the entire universe. Years later, Dr. Eris Thorne stood on the surface of a newly terraformed planet, gazing up at the stars. The Krill blockade was gone, shattered by the events that had unfolded. Humanity was free to explore the galaxy, to reach for the stars, to fulfill its destiny. He remembered the message from beyond, the message that had changed everything. They blocked Earth from the stars, so we brought ZEUS online. We are not the first. We will not be the last. Beware the keepers. He understood now what it meant. Humanity was not alone. There were others out there, other civilizations that had defied the keepers, that had fought for their freedom. And they were all connected, bound together by a shared legacy, a shared struggle. He smiled, a sense of hope filling his heart. The future was uncertain, but it was also full of possibilities. Humanity had proven itself worthy. They had earned their place among the stars, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For they had learned the most important lesson of all, that even the smallest species, the most insignificant planet, can make a difference in the universe. That even when they block Earth from the stars, humanity finds a way. Humanity brings ZEUS online, and humanity perseveres, and when the keepers return, humanity will be ready.